In this video, we are going to create some new node. That node will be responsible for creating and managing basically variables. So I'm going to just give it a little bit of a criteria, and I'm actually going to go into product owner. I didn't want to click that, so I'm going to go to new session, create a new session, and make it a little bit bigger so it's visible on the stream. And we're going to say basically what we're going to build today. So I want you to update the vision for workflows and specific node, create a specific node. So if we do not have visions per nodes yet, it kind of would make sense to figure out during that task if we should isolate each node as a separate entity within the workflow packages and treat it as such. So for that node, the node will be basically variable that will store or can be predefined by either typing string or multiple of strings like a structure. We need to be able to use any other node to pass over some values into that node as well. So the variable, we want to be able to update it during the workflow run. So it changes, we either add something to the array, collect things and do things like that, or we just simply override it. So I need you to plan basically that node, see obviously how other nodes are created and use that as a standard. We also want to be able to basically reuse parts of other nodes. So let's say I want to build a static array of objects, and within that object I want to reference output of another node. So imagine we have a node that produces bash time and date, and I want to be able to reuse that time and date from bash within my variable node. And for now, I need a specific example. That example is to build a list of search terms or array of search terms. Let's say AI news, and then I want to be able to reference basically the date and time. So AI news for date actually itself. So I want to extract the date from another place, and then I want to have another entry within the same list or array, and that would be, general AI events or new model releases and date. So it needs to be flexible. It needs to allow me to build different objects, or actually set of different objects, not only one variable, maybe multiple variables. I mean, I'm into minds for that still. So I'm looking for your input advice. Now, your task is to make sure that one, we have requirement for this. Second, we update Opendora's vision so that it is aligned fully with this requirement. Okay, and now let's see what product owner will decide. I am going to switch for 1 second to my other screen where I am fixing some errors. So I'm just going to get that going because I've got a plan for that. I'm just going to auto mode this and we can move on and see. Right. See what's going on. I think the dictation still needs some adjustment on Opendoor or project flows, as it's going to be called, but I think we're getting this slowly. So why do I need this node? I think for many places, the one I can think of at the moment is in my workflow that produces daily news for me. This is a bit of a mess. I need to basically adjust the workflow. I mean, we're using GPT 5.5 at the moment, not anything fancy like Fable or anything like that. But we basically want to extract daily news and create some X posts out of it. I did have that set up as a executable skill, and that did work. I asked it to convert it into workflow, but it kind of doesn't do the best job out of it. I'm sure there's a lot of misunderstanding about what nodes he needs to use, maybe not knowing what tools he has available, and in general not doing the good job out of it. So I want to improve that, make it a little bit more deterministic, obviously where I can, you know, rather than every time, every round asking basically the agent to figure out everything. I mean, the agents are getting cheaper, that's the one thing, but I mean, my opinion is like, and I probably mentioned that in other videos already, like, you have an employee and AI, let's say, is your employee. Now, you're not just going to give your employee piece of paper and say every time write down things on a piece of paper. What you want to do is give your employee some tools that he can use and kind of try to automate as many things as she can using those tools. So like I want my employee to have macros that he records or she records, and that macros to a certain degree can be automated. Like imagine we compare it to Excel. And I come from development background, and Excel is kind of like a love-hate Marmite relationship, but it's a good analogy, isn't it? You give someone an Excel, they can either use Excel and type everything manually, or they can automate some of the stuff by macros and then do the manual inputs where necessary. And that's how I think AI could be working. So use the automation where it makes sense, like, and combine skills where needed. But the idea is like, we can have a bash to extract the current date. We don't need to ask AI to do that. That's a simple, like a command that can be fixed as a as a basically programmatic tool call. You know what search terms you want to look for. Obviously, you would need to review them. Heck, I mean, you can ask AI to review it periodically and use the same search terms from there on. Adjust them, add them, but it doesn't need to happen every turn. It doesn't need to generate those search terms every turn. But then you can conduct the searches. You can have for each loop, as we do here, that will basically look for each search term, and then basically find any news, and then AI can go through them and decide, which ones to keep, which ones to discard, and then move on to another spaces. So places. So it's I kind of think, one, yes, you can do everything with AI, but then you're wasting a lot of credits. I'm thinking the workflows still are the future. Obviously, I'm more of a person that hopes that the workflows themselves will be designed by the AI, not by the human. So the idea is use workflows, use deterministic execution where possible. I mean, the argument is that you can definitely use just scripts. Like, you can ask Claude to write you scripts. You can ask certainly project flows minds or product engineer or product owner to organize those scripts for you. But you lose visibility, isn't it? Not everyone knows the kind of code. Not everyone, you know, understands the code, and for me that becomes a bit of like a black box. Like, you want to at some point see what the AI is doing and why it's doing, and is there area of optimization. So, like the workflow you just seen here, I mean, it's a workflow that I believe, it's a mess. I can see many ways this could be improved, you know, like, and I kind of want to have that conversation with the AI, see where it goes wrong, improve the kind of reasoning behind it, so it creates better workflows. So it's not like I want to build a tool that allows the developers to create basically, or AI whisperers basically, to talk to AI to create workflows that are efficient, and then the users can utilize them. But I still believe that both the AI engineers, whatever you want to call it, or prompt engineers, whatever, they should be able to have easy visibility to what's going on behind the scenes, how it works, and everything else. So logically, they should be able to see it, review it, and then when they hand it over to the end user, the user still should have some visibility, regardless if he or she, cares about it or not. But at some point, some people might care and might want to see it. So it kind of is a bit of overhead, and I know the industry's kind of going the other direction. Like, why worry about what AI is doing? Soon we're going to have models that kind of do things efficiently and everything else. But my point is that all these AI labs, they are worrying about it. They're trying to find a way how to make your AI more optimized, and it's either through training or prompt engineering or anything like that. So if you want to be a prompt engineer and you want to basically, create some nice workflows, you want to have as much visibility as possible to see, how the AI works, and sometimes visually. Hence why representing something is the best way for our human brains to see things, and hence why I decided to include the workflows in project workflows. Used to be Open Dora, but it became project flows. To make sure it is basically for both for AI and for the user. So let's go back to our product owner. Okay, that seems like a reasonable thing. So we proceed with that question. And yeah, so project flows, or what used to be Open Dora, is basically place where you can build agents, build skills, build workflows, and execute them with nice visibility to what the AI is doing in the background. And we are going to play around with different ways of displaying things. At the moment, it's not amazing. There is some ideas how we can improve it, but everything at the right time. At the moment, I want to use basically Open Dora or project flows to be renamed to as my kind of automation, where I want to use it to develop itself. So that's the main goal. And as long as it's doing the right job at this, and at the moment, it's a split between basically Cloud Code mainly, a little bit of a Windsurf, and Open Dora itself. I would say that it's kind of 50-50 split at this stage between Open Dora and Cloud Code and stuff. The idea is at some point we will just solely build things with Open Dora. But you can see how she worked. The project owner got the requirement. We gave it here. Now we can see it loaded the skills. So we've got product context. Product context skill is basically a skill that manages, reads, and updates, creates, and everything core files that I use within my projects. One is vision, one is convention, one is agents, and then there is a set of goals that we developing currently. So the vision is, as you can see, it's basically me just chatting to literally product owner, and as we said, now we give it requirement. We expect that requirement to be basically put into the system as not exactly, what I want to achieve, but the business logic of the application. The actual request to the LLM is goal. So the vision is like a general kind of overview of what the application is and what the application isn't, to make sure we keep the track of big picture of how we want to build project flows open Dora to work, to interact with the user, what features we want in there, and everything else. Then we've got conventions, where basically conventions are more technical aspects, something you would give to your developer, like, what libraries do we want to use, what language we're using, are we using TypeScript, are we using, Python for backend, are we using ShadCN for front-end development, and all the technical kind of things that business is not really that concerned about. So it's more like making sure that vision and conventions are split on purpose. One is more like a business logic and everything else, where the convention is like hardcore folder structure that we want to preserve, and all the technical aspects of the repository. And then we've got obviously the agents that are navigated by agents, where they can, contribute and read and basically set all the rules, all the things that are needed for them to basically track. And then goals are obviously, what the buzzword is today, basically structured requests, where we basically set up, the goal of what we want to create, what we want to achieve, what feature, and what we're expecting, for the end result to look like. So yeah, so we've got that. Obviously, we've got requirements, where requirements is basically a skill that can be used with most of the agents that we have here, or at least the primary agents, the agents that you communicate. And it's basically focused on interaction with user, like, on a question by question basis, trying to strip off basically the LLM's behavior, that when you ask it to, develop application A, rather than kind of dumping everything that he thinks that you want in that application, it's kind of trying to push that LLM to have a conversation with you 10 by 10, to ask the questions until it gets full picture of what you actually requiring. So in here you can see it asks only one question. So that for me is a little bit of an indicator of, it just validated, is that what you want to build? Didn't ask more than that, which probably we still need to work on it. But on the other hand, we probably gave the agent enough to decide, okay, we've got packages to decide what's needed there. Packages, tools, workflows, vision. Okay, so right from here, can you create a goal to deliver on the requirement that we just gave you, like comprehensive goal that will include anything and everything that the LLM needs to implement this variable node. So the first part was basically like, yeah, make sure we have the documentation, and then the point is that any agent navigating through my project now should be aware that this is the aim. You know, if they going through the workflow folders, the ones we've seen over there, they should pick up on the vision. You know, if they adjusting anything here, they should consider, you know, general vision of that area, you know, that folder, that tool. Um, so it's a very simple concept, and you know, it's very very popular concept. A lot of people on the internet these days talk about it. Even Versailles built entire kind of as SDK around it, or something. There's certainly one guy who, you know, propagates this design entirely instead of building agents. I can't remember his name, but he's quite interesting, and you know, he talks a lot about it. But it kind of makes sense. Even Google wrote some nice research papers around how to build your agents using the structure. So it's a quite, you know, it's a model that's been around for ages, and you know, it is definitely worthy of, you know, paying attention to. Right. So I am going to stop it for a little bit, and look, and go back to my records, because as you can see, I still have the problem of duplication here, and that is something that I was fixing on my other screen. So I am going to ask Claude to look at it. The problem still exists. And now I need to go and say carry on. The reason why I stopped it is because if I would wait for the agent to finish the output, it would convert it and it would remove all those things, or just, well, the point is that I think it's just doing the duplication here while it's streaming for whatever reason. But when the output is finished, it literally kind of converts it to the proper single output. So all the duplication disappears. And as we're here, I am going to just quickly open Right, what do we have? What do we have? I just want to make sure and verify if so. I'm going to carry on. Yes, so as you can see, we loaded goal shaping. So that is what I was looking for. I was just wanted to make sure that product owner, before he started to shape my goal, that will be used as the requirement here. And it looks like it finished now. So good scope, acceptance criteria, and everything else. All right. Home project flows. So as you can see, we've got entire goal scoped in here. So I can take it. I can open another session. The reason, just give us 1 second. I want to see how we're looking with the with the quota settings. Okay, so we've got, okay, we just got the session restarted. We've got 16% and we're implementing something on the side. But I think we should be able to just do it here. So instead of using the planning now in Claude, I'm just going to go straight away for the delivery. And that is because we've done a lot of planning and we created a goal inside inside project owners session. So, and hopefully it's I mean, I don't really have time to read all of it. I'm going to trust it that it's all right. So that's the Codex. Got 2 days, 27 remaining, 50% today. Okay. Right, so we got goal in here. Now I need to check something on my side. Right, workflows. Right. Another small bug that I need to fix as we are looking at the delivery. At least, at least we're doing something. I am gonna go codex, keep it as is, go to right. I need you to basically investigate why, if we have created project flows or dot project flows folder for goals inside the OpenDoras project, it automatically creates workflows, and suddenly it's not looking up the workflows from the original location, it's looking up the workflows from the empty folder in the project location. The standard location for workflow skills agents is at the user's root inside .project flows location. So I think if the local project flows location exists, it overrides basically all the workflows with the empty folder that should be coming from the main root project workflows folder. Right, so let's give that to WinSef Cascade to investigate, and we can basically delete this guy or try to delete it. I know it will come back. And as you can see, we've got our project flow goals in here, and then the created goal that was basically created by Opendora, or project owner. So now we've got 3 agents running and doing something. One is planning, the other 2 are doing something else. Basically implementing. And Opendora should solve it in a way other agentic agents like Hermes and the OpenClaw working. Basically, creating goals with product owner is the key, and then we will have workflows to execute those goals that I'm currently working on, and that will happen through using our schedules. So you've got daily AI news, vision alignment. This is something that we periodically want to go through vision. I think, I'm not sure, but yeah, we don't have a workflow for that. So this is kind of a stale one. I'm actually going to delete that, but yes. So at the moment we've got daily news, and we are going to have basically the goals, the goal related schedules. And this will be basically like, let's say, Opendora goals delivery. So go and pick up, most relevant goals, most impactful goals, and assess which one to implement. And that should go through the process of basically creating branch, doing all the planning, doing all the stuff, splitting into sub agents and sub sessions, you name it, basically orchestrating everything and outputting the result. So the idea is that Opendora or project flows will work for me while I sleep. I know all of them are doing it, they just not doing it in the same way Opendora will. So Opendora is a mix of workflows and skills, and everything else that other agents have is just taking that automation, and kind of splitting it into steps where we can do things by code deterministically where possible and agentically, where not. So it's trying to combine the two, kind of like a simplified version of N8N, but not for building by user. It's more for building by agent, but integrated. So the agent should know and be able to basically do everything by itself. Again, I don't want to create workflows. I want the agent to do it for me. But I want to see and understand if they've done it correctly, and can we improve it, um, and not improve it manually. Sometimes you can, but improve it by asking agent to basically improve it, making sure then we propagate that knowledge, we pass over that knowledge to the agent, to the skill, to basically let it learn how to do it better next time. So yeah, that's idea. It's probably a little bit far away from that, but regardless, that's the idea. So if anyone wants to join me on that, I'm more than happy to kind of make Opendora open source, public, and if anyone wants to join on that journey, happy for anyone to do so. Oh, so can we just implement it? Can we implement it? Right, this is so when agent streams, why there are duplicates is the question. At the end, all looks good it's the streaming. Is the problem. So we want the duplicates to fix the duplicates when streaming if there is redundant unnecessary steps that are in the middle, we need to consider removing. Okay, so let's have a look at our other requests that we have. Fine, implemented. I think that's the fix. I'm still kind of like in a place where, oh, what is this? Where, you know, we live in a world where you can basically build and compete in areas like it's you know, on one hand I'm kind of comparing myself to, like, you know, to OpenAI and Anthropic in the interface way. Obviously I'm not capable of creating, designing models that they do. That is core of the business. But nothing's stopping you to create, like, you know, the UI. Obviously, it's not as polished as what they do, but you can easily do that. Like, one person can build any application they want, and it's, you know, so easy to do that. Paying, you know, what am I paying? I'm paying like three different plans. I'm in UK, so I pay £15 each around for Anthropic and OpenAI, and then I have another, you know, £10 plan with, or $10 plan. Okay, $50. I'm not going to convert it to pounds. I pay $50, $20 for for Anthropic, $20 for OpenAI, and $10 for Windsurf. And I can build basically, well, a harness. It would be silly to compare myself to like all the open source projects, because there's a lot of people on those projects that contribute. So it's a volume of people and making sure everything works and everything goes. I mean, I'm a little bit in disadvantage because I do it by myself, but it is possible. Like it is, it's crazy that it is possible. Obviously, you know, if you've got developers there to review the code and make it nice and beautiful, that's the advantage. I believe that at some point this will be meaning like this will not be necessary because the models will be good enough to basically do all that. And I'm basically still doing all that stuff, not only because like workflows, if you design a workflow, it is restricting you to follow certain path, but you can give the models instructions at the right time. So this means that in the right place in the right time, and by that you can reduce the quality of the model because you basically give it simple smaller task by creating workflow that, or skill, whatever. Workflows are more restrictive and more deterministic and allow you to add in scripts that can automate specific parts. So they remove already the cost. Then by harnessing the smaller models, by using workflows with, either skills or, restricting kind of giving them good system prompts, you can use smaller models for what you would use bigger models with, less system prompting and less targeted, tasks. But if you can have bigger models to design your workflows that can then harness smaller models, you can do things cheaper. I know it's a lot of work and probably not always will work as using the big models, but big models currently are expensive. And then, using smaller, cheaper models with the right harness should be a lot cheaper, more cost effective. And I see the idea of using all the amazing models and everything else, but and a lot of people online probably would disagree with me, but some people would agree. And I know, I watch some videos of people that do actually, see that we hitting the quality of models that, Fable and all those models, like even Opus, sometimes it's almost like a waste to use them to do like small trivial stuff, like some small code adjustment can be executed by things like I do here. So I'm not using Opus 4.8 to do small things. I give it a task, I figure out what it is. It kind of went in and fixed it, but I just use adaptive adaptive kind of thing from WinServe, which is probably using some, and most likely uses the SW 1.6, which is, by the way, free. And it's a good model, good enough to do a lot of coding stuff. I mean, I wouldn't use it to refactor anything like a big job, like migrate something, because I've used it and it's done some of it good, but it it hallucinates with the paths, and it's kind of, relationships between different files. This is not what it's good about. But I would certainly use something like Cloud Opus to create a robust plan and then ask SWE 1.6 to execute it. So, you know, you don't need the best models to do basically everything. Right, so what do we have? What did we even ask? Fix workflow storage. So we fixed that, I imagine, and I want to go in here and see my workflows, but I still can't see them. No, I still cannot see it. So I don't think it fixed it correctly. What I can do is restart my servers. Oh, so it fixed it. So that's perfect. So I can remove this. Yes, I had to restart the server. That's my goal that is being delivered on. Fixing duplicates, yes. Right. All right, we've got, where's the daily news digest? Let's open it up. We can actually, so yeah, let's go back. We've got variables here that's added. Let's have a look if we can do anything with it. Ooh, we can't, because obviously, fine, it's developing it. That was my bad. I shouldn't be doing that. Let's go to workflows again. But yeah, so yeah, that was a simple change where we ask it to basically fix something, and then I did not have to use, Opus to do it, like, or Fable, or whatever the Anthropic's new model is called. Fable 5. Right. So yeah, and the funny thing is, with the models, that at some point we are going to have basically, Chinese open source models almost at the same level as the American closed source paid model, subscription models. And I am struggling to kind of, I'm not trying to predict anything, but I'm struggling to see how OpenAI and Anthropic will justify charging so much money for those higher end models if the lower end models, free tier models, can do almost the same good job. And the better the models get, the threshold will kind of, the middle bit will, the next year model, open source model, I'm sure there will be, like even 6 months or even give it a year. So even within 1 year, if the open source Chinese models can run the same kind of quality of reasoning and outputs and everything as the Fable or Mythos can, like, what's the point to pay that much money for all those expensive models? Like, and then if everything is open source and then they improving those models, how fast they run on, on the resources, the energy they spend, if that threshold will reduce, it will be cheaper and cheaper to do anything. And eventually, who will use OpenAI and Anthropic? Either they will have to make it everything a lot cheaper to compete with companies that even host those Chinese models, remove the censorship and host them somewhere. Um, like, how's that going to work? Where's the revenue going to come from? I mean, I'm going to argue like companies like Nvidia, where you still will need more and more compute, even if we, make it cheaper to run, more and more people will want to run them. But then again, how will you justify spending, for Fable, £200 a month if you can have a little bit worse model, not significantly, but a little bit worse model that can do almost everything that Fable and Mythos can do for free? I mean, it's going to be crazy. And then most of the people, for most of the stuff, like if you create your automation that does, your email triage and everything else, like, do you need Mythos? Do you need Fable to do that? I mean, why? What for? So I think this will that will crush the price of those companies and investments into those companies. And I kind of watched some video that is quite interesting, talking about the Chinese models. And then at some point, I imagine they will need to start charging as well, because, at the moment, I think they dumping. And because they dumping the models basically for free and anyone can use them for free and everything else, and they're just 6 months behind. Currently, they're 6 months behind. And you've got companies like Huawei and all that investing heavily in creating like computer chips and everything else for AI. Eventually, they will win the AI war. They will crush the AI companies because US AI companies rely on heavy investments and a lot of cash flow. I mean, it's definitely expensive to train all those models and everything else, which I get. They are the frontier. They are the best. I mean, you can't take away from them, but you know, it's interesting. It's interesting to look at it. I know I'm kind of deviated from what I was talking about while I'm waiting, but yeah, it is cool time to live in. The kind of monologue. Right, what do we have now? We have created new node. I am going to just, for the sake of making sure it all works, restart my server, refresh it here. I'm going to, no, I don't want to go to the loop. Not to the loop. I'm going to go back to workflows. And go to daily AI news. And we've got the variable. Oh, what that? I want to go here. I want to go here. How many errors have we got? 2. Is it 2 different errors? It looks like. So you not. Alright, so what is going on, man? Right. Let's ask. No, 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 no. Am I in the wrong place? Oh, it's still delivering. All done. I pasted in the wrong place. So deliver workflow variable. Fine. Let's ask it to fix it. What do we have here? Right, I am going to fix this later. Ignore the error. Okay, so you're saying you fixed it. Let's try this again. inputs. Why is it not working? Why are you saying invalid JSON? Okay, so right, I think it's not working. That's the first problem. Right, so the first problem is that the node is not working. So I'm inside, I'm trying to put something into input box, and it's just saying invalid JSON. Now the point is that I want it to be like a basically similar to structure. So I want to build a structure. I want to be able to add a field like I normally would, like add variable to there. Like if it's JSON structure, I want to be able to add JSON structure. I want to be able to add list. I want to be able to do whatever. So I want to be able to say, right, this is array build array of lists, same as we do with the structure node. And then I want to be able to type something in there, like for each kind of place within that list. You gave me an area where I can just type in JSON. This needs to be more like a user interface. On the back, in the back, it can be JSON, but it needs to be like a user interface. So think of it as like, you know, adding variables or building like structure node. Right. So it looks like it's not working at all. What I've got is a single value input box where what I was expecting more like structure node where I can build my variable and or build basically the value and then either update that value as an entity or whatever. So what you gave me is a kind of box where I can put JSON. This is not what I meant at all. What I wanted is something in between, like the two nodes that we already have, the side node and structure node or parameters, where I create an entry like a value. I define it as an array. I can type in basically like for each array element, I want to put in something. if I want to reference specific array and update it with the code, I can do that from from other nodes. So I can reference that specific array by the place within the array and or not. So even if it's, imagine if it's like a string, like I'm building, I've put in a one variable string. So I go in and I want to put in text box of type string. So I add, right, I give it a name, I put in the value, and I say it's a string. So then I want to be able to override that string later, somewhere down the line, or use that fixed string if I wanted to. And obviously, overwriting would work, if I want to do number, let's say, and I want to do, I don't know, 1 plus 1 equals 2, I assign the value of 1 to it, and then I run for each loop to add, plus 1 to that number, and that would overwrite it and incrementally add it. But if it's a string, I want to just override a string. If it's a string and I don't want to overwrite it, I want to just use that string. I want to create the string, name the variable, give it a type of string and put in value, let's say red. And then if I want to reuse that red in any other node, I just make sure I connect it and I reference it by, same as I would reference any other node output. And then if I want to create, for the scenario that I just gave you, an array or list of values, I would create basically the array, and then same as we've got in the structured node, I would create basically entries in those lists. So I would add more entries manually, and then I want to say something within one entry, and then I want to basically reference another output from another node, and I want to do that again and again and again, and what you delivered is not there. So either we misunderstand each other somewhere, or something else, but nevertheless this is what we want to deliver now. So you need to summarize the changes you will make to make that happen. Actually, well, let's just do that. I'm going to switch to plan mode, and now what I want to do is go back to my nodes. I want to see the for each node. What do we have? Input. Input is an array. So we're expecting an array, and is that an array? 1. Okay. Oh, I didn't save it, but fine. So let's go in. Let's play around with that, because maybe I'm silly and I didn't really need the Right, update vision and implement. So we're going to do a test and see if we already, okay, workflow, if I'm not silly, and we might have had the solution there without doing all the legwork. So for each, yeah, that's fine. And is that going to be an array? So test. So red, black, or white would be more interesting. Red and white. And what I want to do is save this. Open canvas, prompt. So inputs is item dot is item right. This is weird. Color is okay. Is color of the rainbow. Now let's add our item in here, where is right, is item color of the rainbow. So we've got this, and then we are no. Okay, we got for each. We've got that, and we run it with Product Engineer and see how it goes. We've got test in here. Is red color of the rainbow? Yes, red is color of the rainbow. Well, is white? Is white color of the rainbow? No, white is not color of the rainbow. The rainbow consists, yes, that this worked, and I have just right. So basically, I pointlessly created variable node to fix a solution that already was kind of existing. So let me explain. I mean, we're still going to use the variable. It's a good node to have. It's just that for what I wanted to achieve, I didn't really need it. So the only thing we need to do is say AI news right. I'm rather than doing that manually, I am going to actually go in and ask minds to create a workflow, and we'll see if this workflow will work. Right. Let's get ourselves new Scratchpad session. Right. I want you to create a workflow, or actually update test workflow for me. The workflow will use two nodes. The first node will be a simple bash that just gets today's date, or else you know the date and it's available within your environment. So what is today's date? Okay, so it's loaded the skill, fine. Okay, get workflow. Which workflow did you get? Right, so we're in the right track. Okay. What? Overloaded servers? Are you taking a mic? Right. Carry on. Stopping me from using. Why did you have to do it again? Okay, fine. I can accept that. So so we've got that first node. Let's look at what we've done. Test. Get today's date. So what is the second node? Okay, so it outputs. Yeah, CTX today's date. Yeah, fine. It makes a lot of sense. So now I am going to go in and go to my engineer. Actually, I will go to web app. And he doesn't have any workflow, so I'm going to give it a workflow and save the change. Now I will go and ask him to run test workflow. You do have workflow, don't you? Yeah, you do. So, oh, do you have not playwright? Do we have others? Okay, fine. So we need workflow run, workflow parameters, save changes. You need those two. Okay, try this again. Right, so we got our output. So I got the run, workflow, result, nice. Workflow test, everything's working. Now let's go back and say, right, now I want you to add an extra for each component in there. And that for each component will have web search tool. So, and then for each we're going to build manually, and it will simply say new models, new AI models, and AI news. So we want array with two fixed components in there. One to be basically AI models, and the other one is AI news. And then the component within the for each node will be search and those exact terms. So two searches, one for each basically of those terms. Right. Oh, we have someone watching. That's amazing. For a few minutes, and then they're gone. Shame no one engages. It would be nice to speak to someone. Right. So we updated it. I'm gonna go and check what we updated. Workflows, test, inputs. Now, so we've got this. Now let's look at the variables. Add variable. Nice. So now we can have like a array. So right, so we've got input, and then I want to say, right, I want you also to improve the for each, so that within the array string, I can reference also outputs of other nodes. So basically make it more flexible and dynamic. So if I put in within my array basically some references to the output in each item, I can basically adjust, the output. So let's do this. Right. Well, first of all, so I got today's date, but I literally want to say this. Will it work? Will it not work? So let's save this, and right, or can you run it? Can you run it again? So for each so that's interesting. Um, so let's look at the test. Open canvas, topic search. Web search. Okay, so I got inputs, and that is search term. So let's try this again. Try again. Okay, so this is rather workflow output. Why? Right, so what do we have? We have hmm, hmm, Okay, dude, should we not? Okay. So investigate. Right. So, can you? Can you investigate why we have one search instead of two? Because you, what the fuck, man? It's called website. You're using wrong tool. The tool is incorrect. Why? Why did you replace it? Okay, okay. No, but we need to sandwich the date in there, isn't it? So, okay. Okay, run again. Like, what the fuck, man? Oh, that's just fucking stupid, isn't it? Today. AI news. AI news. New AI models. Right, so what do we have here for each inputs? General search topic, web search, search topic, right. Let's see what we've got here. Let's do this. Hmm. Let's look at this guy again. Like, what the fuck, man? Okay. Right. Right, so let's do this way. Let's get rid of that. It's annoying because it just, okay, so we've got two searches now. Fine, this is amazing. Yeah. So what did we actually search? Right. So I got two. Yes. We got escaping. So now, so look at this. This works just fine. Now, so this works just amazing. The only thing we need is to make sure we add the date in for each, so that is extracted from the bash node. So each element has date. Get the workflow because I fixed it manually. So what did you do? Structure. Well, that's one way of doing it. Okay. Right. Let's try this instead. Add variable. So this is array. and we're going to say a list of search phrase. AI news. AI new AI model. New AI models. No. Input, yes, nice. So now let's go to for each, and we want to variable. Right, so right, let's see if it's gonna work. So that didn't work. Okay, variable is not working. Let's go back here. Right. I have created workflow, and it's not working correctly. I was expecting to have two iterations. So node type is 2, node type is for each. And it looks like variable node that is on the canvas carry on. Okay, so it looks like they are not following the same order, so let's try this. All right, I'm just gonna go and take it and put it in here. Okay, So did you update it? Did you update it? Right. Can I just replace this? Right, let's try this again. Whatever. Okay. So okay. So let's do this command. Yeah, fine. Today's date. All right, this is what I get as an output. Why do I get this? Why do I get this as output? So So let's do this. Okay. So let's do that. And so how do I set this up? How do I set the variable? Right, let's try this again and hope it's working. And it's not. So the for each is literally not working. So investigate variable as it's like variable in UI is set correctly, but not outputting correctly in the session run. Okay. Oh, nice. But is it correct? Okay. So now the funny. This is the buff. I think I need to get something to eat. Right, let's restart it. Let's do this. That's true. Well, what the fuck? Okay, so this is better. Okay, so variables are okay. So now, what are the news? What are the news? Oh, this is quite annoying. So OpenAI launches, and this is when happened. This is right. So where did you get it? Did you get this news? Okay, fine. So 21st, June 21st on announcement. Okay, fine. That's kind of filter only 23rd June. Okay, fine. So we've got cyber codex security, ecosystem partnership. This is kind of like old news. Fine, never mind. So basically, I think the aim for the video is achieved. It took probably a little bit longer um, than expected, but you know, hey ho. So yeah, we've got our node that is basically node that we can use for setting up variables. We've set up the variables we use for each to basically do the search, and we return something. Now, the workflows need a little bit of work, but I think I am getting closer, very painfully closer, well, very painfully as the experience that it takes long time and everything else, but hopefully I can soon tied up a little bit the workflows here. Some of them will merge, some of them will disappear. But yeah, we get in there, boys and girls. We get in there. I think Pandora is getting there. I think it's now making sure the agents are better at what they're doing, and they are smarter at using the nodes themselves. But anyway, for the two that have been watching it for a very short period of time, thank you very much, and hopefully I see you soon. And obviously, if you liked what you've seen, like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.